Hello. Welcome. So this is our these are our notes for essay. Audits in 100 pages. Called recording. This lecture is for the South students, so this will be completely in English. Recording in English is a task, but come on, we got this. Okay, so we've done with the intro to audit lecture that we have completed. Then we have completed SQC1 also. So today we will be doing the next essay, that is your essay 200. Now, what does essay 200 talk about? Essay 200 talks about the overall objective of an independent auditor. So, what are the overall objectives while conducting the audit of an independent auditor? And conduct of audit in accordance with essays. So, first is your objective of the auditor, and second is that he has to comply with the essays. What is your essays? Essays is your standards on auditing that we are doing. So, usually in the exam, this is a difficult essay to identify. So whenever you are not understanding which essay it belongs to, it will most probably belong to essay 200, because essay 200 is a very general standard. Okay, so essay 200 talks about that there are some aspects that the auditor should consider while conducting audit, that he should keep in mind these certain points. So your first point is with regards to professional skepticism. There are total 5 points that he has to consider. There are two professional, okay? We will first try remembering this. One is professional skepticism, other is professional judgment. Then there is SAAE, that is your sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. He has to consider SAAE, that is your third point. Your fourth is conduct of audit as per SA. So see, this is the standards name, conduct of audit in accordance with SA. And last is your ethical requirements. Okay, so there are two professional related. Your third is your sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Your fourth will become the standards name only, that is whether you are conducting it as per essay. And your fifth is your ethical requirement. So now what does professional skepticism mean? Professional skepticism means that the auditor should have a questioning mind. He should question everything and anything. A child on an average asks about 300 questions per day, because he wants to know everything, what is going on, why this is happening, why what is happening, why is water wet, why are there seven colors in the rainbow, everything he wants to question. This standard or professional skepticism means the auditor should question everything. Why this is happening, why did we do this, why are we putting this here, everything you should question. Logical questions, of course. Okay, so attitude that involves questioning mind, being alert to circumstances which may indicate possible misstatement. Any circumstances that he comes across or any situation where he feels that there can be any misstatement over here, either due to error or due to fraud. Now, what is the difference between error and fraud? Your error is by mistake, that is, it is your unintentional, whereas fraud is an intentional mistake. Clear? So, which may indicate possible misstatement due to error or fraud, and critical assessment of audit evidence. So, any audit evidence that you obtain, it is not just to keep it in your file. You will have to critically evaluate, you will have to critically assess the audit evidence, and he should be alert with respect to these three things. Any contradictory audit evidence. Any contradictory, what does this mean? Suppose you received audit evidence, you received another audit evidence, both of these are related to each other. Now this should match with the other audit evidence. Suppose these are not matching, so these are contradictory audit evidence. That is, one audit evidence tells you something else, the other audit evidence tells you something other. So these are contradictory audit evidence. What is your second thing? Reliability on documents. The audit evidence that you have obtained, the documents that you have obtained, are they reliable? The documents that you have obtained, are they reliable? For example, you go to a club, you are underage. What do? You edit your Aadhaar card. Those people check that the PDF that you are showing them, the image that you are showing them, is it edited? Can they rely on that or not? What is your third? That is your conditions indicating possible fraud. He should be alert. He should be alert as to conditions where their fraud might be possible. Now, what are these conditions? For example, any area where money is involved, or any area where the internal controls are weak, so there are possible of frauds. Or any area where a lot of responsibilities are handed over to one person. Now this one person has so much power, so many responsibilities, it is very much possible he can bypass some controls because he is only the owner of them. So all of these are your conditions indicating possible fraud. So your auditor should be alert to them. The second we spoke about professional judgment. Professional judgment is he should be able to identify where he should use his judgment, where he should use his experience. So it is your application of KTE. What does KTE stand for? KTE stands for knowledge, training, and experience. That is all the knowledge that he has, all the training that he had acquired, and all the experience that he has over the period of years. He has to apply them with context of your accounting standards or your standards of auditing in making an informed decision. He has to use KTE in context of ASNSA to make an informed decision. Now, informed decision you will ask with respect to what? That is course of action. As to what should be done next, he has to use his professional judgment. Now, examples where this might be used is your first is your RMM. RMM is your risk of material misstatement. Over there, he will have to use judgment, not judgment. He will have to use professional judgment. FRF is your financial reporting framework. Your third part is conclusion based on sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. That is, suppose you have received the audit evidence. Now you will have to form an opinion. You will have to conclude on this audit evidence. So over there, the auditor has to use professional judgment to form a conclusion based on the SAAE. And your fourth part is your materiality. Your auditor will have to determine what is material and what is not material. So there he has to use professional judgment. Okay, now what does your third is? Third is your sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Over here also third is SAE, and your main third point is also sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now what does sufficient and appropriate? We've been using this word, we've been hearing this word multiple times. What does sufficient mean and what does appropriate mean? So your sufficient is related to quantum or quantity, that is, do you have enough evidence? Sufficient. And appropriate talks about quality, that is whether the audit evidence you have, is it the correct audit evidence, is it quality audit evidence, is it apt over here, does this evidence make sense to form a conclusion? So it should be sufficient and appropriate. Okay, now what is audit risk? Audit risk means that the auditor gives an inappropriate opinion. That means he gives a wrong opinion when actually the financial statements are misstated. That is, the financial statements are misstated. There are some issues in the financial statement. There are misstatements, but the auditor may have given a clean report that there are no issues. That is, he has given an inappropriate opinion. So this is audit risk, that even though the financial statements were misstated, the auditor failed to identify them. It may be possible that he used sampling and he missed that sample or for whatever reason, but audit risk is when the auditor gives an inappropriate opinion, even though when the financial statements are misstated. Then what is the fourth point? Your fourth point talks about conduct of audit as per essays. Whether the auditor have to the auditor will have to consider whether your audit has been conducted as per your standards on auditing. So your first is comply with all essays, of course, that you will have to check. Then second is specify the said compliance in audit report. In the audit report, you will have to mention that this audit has been conducted in compliance with all essays as per da, 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 da. In case you have not complied with any essay, you will have to mention it in the bracket and give reasons as to why you have not complied with it, what reasons are there. And in case your essay is applicable but only part of it is applicable, so if the entire essay is not relevant, comply only with the relevant portion, that is okay. What is your third part? In case of failure to achieve any objective, while auditing you have set objective that suppose I have to check 60% of my population, or I have to perform this procedures on this. If for any reasons you are not able to satisfy these objectives, for any reason, either the management could not provide you the data, or you did not have time, or the management restricted your scope, for whatever reason, you will have to determine the necessity for modified opinion, or you can even withdraw from the audit because you could not achieve your objectives. Your last is with regards to ethical requirement. Ethical requirements is your 5 point, that is integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, your professional competence and due care, and professional behavior. I will give you a quick summary on what each one of them. Integrity means the clean mind, that is your clean mind. What you think, what you feel should be morally correct. and your actions should be morally right. You should be you should have integrity in you. Objectivity is what you have in mind. All your actions should be focused towards that objective. Confidentiality is if you have received any information in confidential nature, that is in secret, not everybody knows it, you have received it because you are an auditor, you are required to maintain confidentiality, you cannot share that information. These are your ethical requirements. Your D part is professional competence and due care. That is, professional competence means you should be professionally capable of doing this audit, and you should take due care of checking any audit evidence, any place where you should have more checks. So that is your professional competence and due care. And your last is professional behavior. An auditor should always maintain a professional behavior. We have been studying this since inter. Okay, clear? ठीक है. Now your next is with regards to other explanation. So other explanation talks about your scope of audit. So what is this? Scope of audit, your financial statements are as per the financial reporting framework. Your financial statements should be as per the FRF. So this is your point number 1, and your point number 2 talks about that your auditor's opinion does not assure. Now auditor gives opinion on the financial statements that they are free from any misstatements. What he does not give, what the opinion does not assure is number 1, future viability, that is future viability of the business. Just because an auditor has issued a clean report does not mean that the business will be viable in the future. That is, the business will keep on going. It is possible that the auditor has passed a clean report today, but 1 month later the business stops functioning. Now this is, you cannot blame the auditor ki how you submitted a clean report, what happened. So that is your future viability. And what does your B point talk about? These are your 3 E's. That is your economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. What is economy? Economy means what you want to achieve in the lowest cost possible. Okay, so that is your economy, whether you have achieved. When we say economies of scale, what does that mean? Low cost. So that is your economy. Efficiency is in the lowest cost, so that is putting lowest inputs, putting less inputs, but achieving maximum possible results. Putting minimum inputs and obtaining maximum results, that is your efficiency. And effectiveness means doing it correct, means doing it rightly. For example, if you sit for 8 hours a day, maybe your effective study is only 6 hours. That is your 6 hours you have actually put your work into it, you have actually put your mind to it. That is your effectiveness. So auditor's opinion does not ensure these 2 points. Okay, clear? Then you will also have to ensure that the management understands that the responsibility of preparation of financial statements is of the management. Management has to understand that it is their responsibility. The above responsibility also includes selection and application of accounting policies and accounting estimates. That means not only do they have to make the financial statements, they also have to choose what accounting policies to follow, what accounting estimates to follow, and how to apply them. All of this is responsibility of management. And your last is your financial reporting is based on management judgment. Second point is audit procedures audit procedure for obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. What procedures have you done to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence? Then any cost benefit analysis. Your fourth is fraud, particularly by senior management. Any fraud, if it is done by senior management, you will have to disclose this. Then your next is non-compliance of laws and regulations by management. If there are any laws and regulations which the management has not complied with, you will have to disclose it in the financial statements. And any future events causing entity to cease or continue as a going concern, that is, if the auditor feels that anything in the future will happen because of which the entity will cease to continue as a going concern, in that case the auditor will have to disclose the same. And this is how we have completed this